If it can help someone else or if someone can relate to it, then that's cool because I want to recover out loud so that someone doesn't die in silence.
Welcome to Starve the Demon, where we recover by any means necessary. Today, I'm talking with Carly B, someone whose journey reminds us that recovery isn't just about getting sober. It's about building a life worth staying sober for. We're not here to wallow in the past. We're here to shine a light on what's possible, to celebrate the comeback, and to remind anyone listening that the best is still ahead. Let's get into it. Hi, Carly. Welcome to Starve the Demon.
Hey, from Michigan.
Right. Is it hot there today?
It was muggy. It was very humid, I feel, which is not very good for my condition, which is really irritating.
Since you mentioned it, what is your condition?
I actually have multiple sclerosis, for short MS, and I got diagnosed right before my 1 year sobriety date.
And what year was that?
That was in 2023. When I was in the hospital, I drew this, and I actually had my dates on there. February 28th through March 7th, 2023. And basically, multiple sclerosis is your body attacks itself. Your immune system attacks your brain and your spine. Sometimes the extreme heat can cause your body to flare up. The cold can also make my nerves and my muscles tense too. It's like a double-edged sword. It's funny because I talk about my disease today in such a different light than when I first got diagnosed.
You able to do like
Okay.
yoga or meditation or anything like that? Does that help with that?
Yeah, swimming in water helps a lot. That feels really good on my nerves and my muscles. There's so much that is unknown about it. It's funny because when I first got diagnosed, they were like, it's not genetic, it's not hereditary, but if you have a family member that has it, you're likely to have better odds of getting it. Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, what is that supposed to mean?
How is that not genetic?
I'm not a doctor either, and I'm not an expert. There's so much more to learn, and everyone's journey is different with multiple sclerosis. There's 4 types. I have relapsing remitting MS. So,
Does that mean like it comes and it goes?
yeah, it can come in flare ups. I have so many lesions on my brain right now. From what I understand of it, I can have a flare up where my immune system attacks a part of my brain, for example, my ability to talk. And I may not be able to talk for a month or something, and then it will come back, but it might not come back to 100%.
Those lesions will heal.
No, they won't. They'll be permanent lesions on my brain for the rest of my life, but my body will heal itself to almost 100%. There's like a worse condition of MS, the primary permitting, I believe. And that's like a condition you don't want to have. If your immune system attacks, say, the part of your brain where you can't talk, you're most likely not going to get that ability back. It attacks very aggressively. I'm very thankful that I don't have that type. And I was like terrified of this, right? I was also on probation at the time, and I also didn't have a license.
That actually could have been a cop.
Oh, yeah. I definitely could have been a cop for sure. I even went to the Metro High Police Academy. I graduated top recruit. I got the Joseph Taylor Memorial Scholarship in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, actually.
Really? Why did you take criminal justice? What did you want to be when you grew up?
One of my uncles was a police officer, and I always really looked up to him because I thought it was really cool. And he was really tall and big and muscular. I felt safe around him because he was just like the father figure guy that felt like the big protector guy. He would come around with his police car when we were like really young, and we just thought it was so cool. But then when my brother started going to jail and stuff at a young age, I started to see that I wanted to help people like my brother. And I wanted to go into probation and start working with juveniles because I wanted to help them and try to redirect them, but also be like a trusted person to tell them like, listen, I know the struggle, but
recovery works. That's what sponsorship is. It's not, this is what you should do. This is what I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to go in there and be like, listen, like I've had it rough. I know. And especially with the juveniles, because it starts with the youth.
Catch them early, maybe you could save them from a lifetime of crazy.
Yeah. And because my brother started dealing drugs so young, I think my mom passing impacted him more than he wants to admit. that it did. After my mom's death, my dad checked out and he just started drinking even heavier and heavier. And then he just kind of abandoned us, just not there. And my brother was the only boy in the family. There was three girls that got all the attention and him. And I think that he felt like the outcast. There was one time I saw a dealer come over and punch him in the face, and my twin sister was crying, and it was just awful. We were probably 10 years old at the time. I feel like I grew up a lot faster than I had to.
At survival mode early and stayed there.
Yeah, I never felt like I got out of it. That's really why I went into criminal justice, because I really wanted to help the youth. I love people and I love helping them. And I wanted to be able to come in and be the change that you want to see in the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was the idea. Before my year of sobriety, I got diagnosed. I ended up in the hospital with this, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like my world is ending. And what is the point of staying sober for this? It was just a lot.
Thank God you were.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Handle that and deal with that and comprehend that and do whatever it is that you need to do for that. Because if you're not sober,
oh, yeah. There was a turning point in my drinking career. At one point, it was all fun and games. I thought it was normal just partying. I thought that was what people just did. And then I started to feel like I needed to hide it from the people that kept telling me, like, Carly, you need to stop drinking and driving. And Carly, you were so belligerent drunk last night. Do you know what you said last night? Or do you know what you did last night? I had no idea. I blacked out. And at that point, when people started telling me those things, it definitely, for me, it hit home. But at that point, I was like, hey guys, I'm tired. I'm just going to go home and go. And then I would pick up a bottle on the way home. And then I would just drink a whole bottle by myself and then get blackout drunk hiding it instead of taking their advice. But then I would start filling myself with shame and filling myself with guilt. It just kept piling up like a dirty laundry pile that just kept getting higher and higher.
You're feeling these low frequency emotions and you don't want to feel that way. So what do? You drink more.
Yep.
I was a blackout drunk, and that is frightening. Better to pass out and be harmless than to black out and be like a demon run zombie. Like you're the puppet and the demon's running you and you're saying and doing things and you don't even know what it was. And then the next day somebody's telling you and you're like, I don't remember, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You really are truly sorry, but you're not even sure for what. But you believe them.
And then you go home and you sit there and wallow in the fact of, oh my gosh, what did I do? Or they'll tell you what you did and you feel so awful about it that all you want to do is run home and crawl in a hole and feel like you want to die. I don't want to even face these people again because I'm just so embarrassed of what they said I did.
I would be so mortified. And then I would apologize. Of course, it doesn't matter. You still are accountable, right? But I didn't want to be accountable. I wanted to hide from it. And okay, you told me and I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about it anymore. I have no recollection of that. It was somehow somebody else's fault that I couldn't remember what I had done. I wasn't aware of it, so I don't want to hear about it. Because like we were talking about before, things like anger and resentment, those are secondary emotions.
Yeah.
At the end of my drinking career, the only emotion I had left was fear.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You had got to a point, you're working, you're partying. It starts to go from being fun to something that you're losing the power of choice about.
Yeah.
Right? You've got physical craving. You've got mental obsession. You're having bad consequences. What would you add to that?
You really can't talk about addiction and recovery without talking about mental health. And I really stand strong on that statement. And that's why with Jump Recovery, when Duke and I were creating that event, I was very strong on that statement. I said, I don't want to be a part of this without including everyone in this because it's not just AA or it's not just NA or it's not just mental health. It's all of it. We are all intermingled together. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't just pick up alcohol or drugs and say, I'm going to be an alcoholic today or I'm going to be an addict today. There's something behind that. There's trauma. There's something that you're covering up. You're picking that up to heal something or to try to ease something. I didn't even recognize or acknowledge the significance of this aspect of it until I got in recovery. I started hiding and then it got really bad. I got intertwined with bad people and I got robbed.
When you got robbed, was this somebody that you knew or was this a random thing?
Yeah, someone I knew. And it was related to alcohol.
You don't say.
Yeah. But at the time, I think I was in denial. I didn't know if I could even admit to myself that it was even happening or that I allowed myself to get there.
Did like you come home one day and all your stuff was gone?
Yeah. Yeah. So I let them into my home the night before. The next day, I left to go to work. I locked my apartment and I came home from work and my apartment was unlocked. I had a spare key. And when I walked in, everything was a mess. My couch pillows were all like flipped up. My TV was gone, everything. I walked in the door. I remember like dropping my purse and I just didn't know what to do. I was in shock. I called the cops. I did a report and then I went back to my work because I didn't feel safe there. I had an idea of who it was. It was a bad judgment call. Alcohol strikes again. It was someone that I knew and never ended up catching him. I just felt empty after that. I remember calling my cousin who was in the Air Force and crying to him on the phone. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I feel so lonely in this world. I remember calling him and I just felt like I didn't know where to go or where to run or where to hide or where to scream or where to whatever. And he was like, "Why don't you just come move down to South Carolina? Why don't you come live with me?" I was like, "Okay." Most of the stuff that was valuable to me was already gone at that point.
Like in your early 20s at this point.
Yeah. I just made that quick decision. I didn't even think about it too long. I was just like, yeah, all right, cool. I'm coming. I sold the rest of the stuff that was in my apartment. I cashed out my bank account and I had $500 in my wallet and I packed the rest of the stuff that I owned in my little Suzuki XL7. I drove down from Michigan to South Carolina and I started a new life. Or I tried to. And I thought that I was leaving all of that mess behind me, but come to find out, I was not. I thought that it was going to rejuvenate me. It was so cool to be in a different state and it was so cool to meet new people. But I truly don't feel like you can walk through a door unless the version of yourself is ready to. But I was spontaneous and wanting to go. So I did it. Your demon.
Was already strong.
Yep.
And was with you.
Yep. It followed me. And so when I got down there, I found a job. I ended up being a supervisor there. And I was also working a restaurant on the side because I just love the service industry, customer service.
I'm an excellent waitress.
Yeah.
I lack in skill and make up for in personality.
Yeah, definitely. I was a waitress and I still am. I still serve on the side and I do love it. I love people. I love being a part of their experience. I love making their experience better. I fell in love with the hustle, the grind, but I couldn't stop drinking. I just couldn't. I didn't really feel like I had a choice. And one of the things that was very significant in the beginning of my recovery was someone told me, "Carly, you have a choice to choose how to react to a situation. You may not get to choose like what happens in your life, death in the family or a car accident or someone robbing you or whatever, but you can choose how you react to it and you can choose your actions and you can choose what you say." When I got back to Michigan and eventually when I got to the table and I told them about me going to South Carolina after I got robbed, they were like, "Oh my God, you did the whole thing that the AA book, the big book talks about how like people try to move." And I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know I did that."
Because everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah.
And your
So
demon goes with you.
there was like the times where I'd be like, "Okay, I can't drink whiskey. I'm just going to drink wine. I can't drink wine. I'm just going to drink beer." But beer,
That's me.
oh, the big book more about alcoholism. Yeah.
Yes. What was the specific moment or experience that actually pushed you towards recovery? Because you talk about how you were already a year clean when you got your MS diagnosis. What started that year? What was it that got you actually to the tables in the first place, or in the rooms, as I like to say?
My DUI.
Okay. Fair enough. They call that a nudge from the judge.
My higher power has already given me kind of a warning in years prior. Like I had already gotten pulled over and drummed, and the cop let me go and told me to get a ride home. I had to have someone come pick me up home. I had my car in a parking lot. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, woof, that was a close call," kind of thing, right? And I never was truly grateful. I mean, I was at the time, but then I never really recognized the significance of that time. And then years later, God was like, "You didn't learn your lesson there." So then I got a DUI. I think it was after my grandma had passed and I was living alone and I was just like wallowing in depression. But
If you were grieving.
yes, I was grieving and I got emotional support pets to help me, which are my fur babies, and I love them so much. They helped me through a lot of that. Like I remember I have notes like therapy sessions that like telling her like, "Oh, I'm just gonna drink wine tonight or instead of whiskey." Like, why wouldn't that therapist tell me like go to A?
I will tell you what, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is unparalleled because people that don't understand can't understand and they don't know that they don't understand. And it's okay that they don't understand. And God bless them. I wish nobody had to understand.
Yeah.
Clinicians, therapists, you have to understand. Here's that word again. Not everybody that drinks is an alcoholic. That
Yeah.
therapist herself might go home and enjoy a glass of wine. I live down south, honey. We use whiskey like medicine. Oh, you got a
Yeah.
headache? Give a shot of whiskey. The baby's teething? Put some whiskey on their lips. You got cramps? Here's a whiskey. You got a cold? Here's some hot whiskey.
There's a hot toddy. Put a tea bag in there.
Listen, that's a
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah, funny. Yep.
Lemon, knock it right out of you.
Oh, we do that up here too, hon. We have hot toddies up here.
Okay, that's the thing. So not everybody that does that is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So in the therapist's mind, you grieving, being sad, saying, you know what? I'm going to go home and have a glass of wine. That's not an abnormal thing.
Mhm.
Now, unless you're being brutally honest with yourself and that therapist, which I'd put dollars to donuts, you weren't in that moment. She's not seeing the problem for what the problem really is.
Yeah.
And the idea that you, a young adult who's grieving, would be talking about having a drink, it's not necessarily a red flag for a therapist that's not familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous or herself with alcoholism.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too hard on the therapist. Actually, if you get a chance, watch the interview I did with Kim. She's a nurse and she talks a lot about the medical field. And
Yeah, well, I did watch her.
it talks about the attitude of the medical field towards addiction in general. Hopefully that's changing. Hopefully the more we get stuff like this out there to the more people that can see it and see the real side of recovery and the real human side of alcoholism, addiction. Hopefully we can break some of that stigma. That's not just the guy living under the bridge and dying with a needle in his arm that, hey, you know what? We're normal, regular people. That's a big part of what we're doing here is showing, hey, guess what? Here's a college graduate. Could have been a cop. Hey, I was an honor student. I made poor choices. I made bad decisions, but guess what? I'm living my best life now.
Yeah.
So there's women my age that did all the right things and they're freaking miserable at 51. I made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of bad stuff, went around some blocks and some neighborhoods and some towns these people ain't even heard of. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Anthony, this is what I would pray and hope for you. If I make something happen, all the trauma, all the things that you've gone through, I don't know if I could say the scars will heal, but that you realize and really know in your heart that you have survived all that. None of that is happening now.
Mhm.
You can put it down. You can walk away from it. You can be safe. You can live a life beyond your wildest dreams without being bogged down by that bag.
Yeah.
And you're on your way to that. You're doing the things that it takes to heal mentally and emotionally from that horrible trauma, the things that you've gone through in your life.
Yeah.
Right now, look at you. You're beautiful. Your sister trusts you in her house with her dog. You're not selling her computer.
I would never do that, first of all. And even when I was drinking.
Yeah, it didn't get that far.
Yeah, thank God I didn't. But yeah, you are correct. I am very blessed, very grateful to be very close with my sister. I'm actually house sitting, and that's one of the promises that have come true in my recovery. Before I got sober, my sister never would trust me to house sit or dog sit, or because
Unreliable.
yeah, because I just was always gone or just never really had interest or was always like lying. A lot of the drinking was in the closet. I didn't really talk to my family about it, even though I thought I was hiding it. They knew, I feel like.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Trust is not given, it's earned for sure, and especially in recovery.
Right, because
So,
especially with alcohol, we have abandonment issues. We don't trust anybody. We were on shady so long ourselves that the idea that other people aren't on shady lane
exactly.
in step two came to believe. We have to come to believe that we can be restored to sanity, which first we got to know we were insane. Before you
Yeah.
got to trust and you got to come to believe that, hey, you know what? The world's not out to get me. Hey, the world is a happy, beautiful, wonderful place. Oh, and it can be,
Yeah.
if we let it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't want to live like bitterness or self pity or feel hatred.
Those are low frequency emotions.
Yeah.
They just suck your soul right down. Those
Yeah.
are the things that feed the demon.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to feed the demon.
We don't feed the demon, babe. We starve the demon, right? Have you completed your 12 steps?
Yes, I did them once. I've done a few 4 steps with a sponsor, but I haven't gone through all of the steps again.
If I could put my sponsor hat on for a minute,
Yeah, sure.
I will tell you my theory. I can't tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I have done. You work the 12 steps, right? The first 3, you're just getting it together. The last 3 are maintenance steps. 10, 11, and 12, that's how you maintain your sobriety, right?
Yep.
10, continue to take personal inventory, and when you're wrong, probably admit it. 11, do prayer and meditation, seek conscious contact with your higher power. 12, carry the message of recovery and practice these principles in all our affairs. The spiritual principles attached to the steps themselves. The first spiritual principle is honesty. Step 1, honesty. Step 2, hope. Step 3, faith, and on through the 12 steps. I am of the belief that 1, 2, and 3 are constant. And if you are living in 10, 11, and 12, you're not working the steps, you're living the step.
Yeah.
If you are consistently in 10, 11, and 12, it is not necessary to go back and go through the process of doing them all over again. Now, I do know this. Your first 4 step, you're not going to catch everything.
Yep.
Later on, things are going to come to you because you just were ready to deal with it the first time.
Exactly.
If you're doing your 10th step, at the end of your day, you're asking yourself, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Do I owe anybody an apology? Do I owe anybody an amend? If you're doing that every day, and every day you're handling business, then why do you got to go back and do a whole 4 step?
And you shouldn't have to.
I have had instances where I'm sitting around doing nothing, and all of a sudden, boom, like a lightning bolt, something that I did. Oh my God, I got to handle that.
Yeah.
And I will, in that moment, 4th or 5th step it, basically.
Yeah.
I'll go through the columns in my head. I'll call my sponsor. I'll do whatever I got to do.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. You do what you do. Your recovery is your recovery.
For me, I feel like I have to continue to do 4 steps right now because I'm still working through some issues. I have traumas. Some I was in denial. Some I haven't been able to admit to other people or myself, or some that really are too big to tackle in the beginning of my sobriety when I'm really fragile. And then also the first year of my sobriety, I get diagnosed with MS, and I'm dealing with all the aftermath of that. My dad died last year. I had to deal with it. It was also really hard too because I was trying to work through my resentments with my dad over the years. And I was also trying to come to terms with my hurt and my heartache with him. I'm gonna start crying. I was trying to figure out how to be okay with him and understand where he came from. And I didn't understand until I came into recovery, until I started to learn what it really meant to feel like you didn't have an option other than to drink. And before that, I always used to tell him, why do you pick the bottle over your kids? Why would you choose that? And I used to tell him I hated him all the time. And I would refuse to let him back in my life because of that. And then when I got into recovery, I was learning and growing within myself, and I was trying to figure out how to make those amends with him and trying to come to terms with my resentments with him and trying to talk to him. But I was too late. And that's what eats me up inside sometimes today. And I know that I can't do the what if or what would I have said or what would he have done or whatever. Because at the end of the day, I do know that I do love him. He's still my father, even though he didn't act like a father for most of my life. He didn't care for me like a father. I still have those mixed feelings that you can't help but have. It was January 30th, 2024. So it's been a minute since it happened, but it just seems like it was yesterday still. And after my dad dies, there's a whole aftermath with my older sister.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to put this to you.
Yeah.
Let's test your sobriety. No, I'm just kidding. I would never test your sobriety. Never test it. What a ninth step call sound like. Hey, I'm working on my sobriety. I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. I'd like to know if there's anything that I could say or do to repair this relationship. I'm sure you've made that call. I'm sure you've made some amends and had to go to people and put yourself in that.
Yeah.
If she got to that point, would you accept that call?
It's a great question. I feel like I want to accept it, but I don't know if she's anywhere near being ready. But I don't know. Yes, I want to say yes, but there's a lot of hurt in our past, a lot of damage.
I was 45 when I did my step.
Yeah.
That's 4.5 decades worth of people that
Yeah.
I had hurt, maimed.
Yeah.
And I know that when it was me making that call, I wanted nothing more in the world than to be forgiven and given a chance to make things right.
Yeah.
But that's not calling and saying, hey, I'm sorry. Nobody wants to hear I'm sorry. We've been sorry. I know you're sorry. But if people are calling you and saying, what can I do to make this right? Do you think that's something that could actually be mended?
Yeah, I would definitely take a call. I would like to see what she would have to say for sure. I'm sitting here thinking, Carly, you're a hypocrite because you cannot sit there and be in recovery and ask to be forgiven and not do the same for your own sister. Ding, ding.
That's what I was hoping you were going to come. Listen, she may never. Her demon may stay strong.
It gets a little tricky when it hits home with your family, man. It does get very dicey. They did stump me there for sure because it's not fair for me to say, yeah, I want to be forgiven, but I can't forgive. It's not fair, especially because I'll forgive a stranger all day, but can I not forgive my older sister? That's not right. It's just, I think it's still hurting.
Sure, now that I have done the work and I've come out on the other side and it's so great and it's so wonderful and it's really not as hard as you think. It's a lot harder staying high. It's a lot harder being a criminal. It's a lot harder living on Shady Lane than it is just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew?
I want forgiveness. I got to lead with forgiveness. I got to lead with compassion because I so much need forgiveness and compassion for all the crap I put out in the universe.
Yeah. And I feel bad for not jumping at the gun to say yes right away.
Yeah, because honesty is the first spiritual principle. And if you're not,
Yeah.
you're not ready, that's okay.
Yeah, you have to be ready. When I was talking about doing the 90 steps, I was like, what if someone doesn't want to accept it? My apology. And my sponsor said, Carly, they don't have to accept it. And I'm like, well, why not? And then asking her, well, what if I can't make amends? And then she talked about living amends, about showing them that you're living in a better life, that you are staying sober. Sometimes living amends can be a really powerful thing, but they don't have to accept your apology. It's okay if they don't.
If you're ready to be forgiven, doesn't mean they're ready to forgive. And you ask them what you can do, right?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they're going to say, I love you. I'm so happy you're sober. You don't owe me anything. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, they got something. They want whatever it is. They need something, some action from you. Sometimes the answer is too little, too late. There's nothing. I need you to F off.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
say, look, here's my number. If you change your mind, I would like to repair this relationship. But also, it's about cleaning my side of the street.
Yes.
And maybe it's somebody that really owes me an amendment, but that doesn't mean I don't also owe an amendment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to try and make amends for my part. I'm going to clean my side of the street. That doesn't mean I want to have a relationship with the person. I had a boyfriend that had cheated on me. This is not somebody I want in my life. We're not going to go out and have coffee.
Yeah.
There were things that I said and did, choices that I made that I need to answer for. I needed to be accountable. So I made a phone call to him.
Yeah.
It's not about what they did. It's not what he did to me. It's about what I did.
Yeah.
So I'm able to call him up and go, hey, listen, I'm sober now and I'm doing this. I'm sorry for la, la, la. But making it clear, I'm not trying to be friends. However, now when I run into him at Walmart, small town, if I run into him, it's not, oh my God. It's how you doing?
Yeah.
Nice to see you. And you keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I hold my head high. There's nobody I'm ducking.
Yeah.
And even if it's somebody that I called and they were like, well, no, I didn't. Okay, that's, you know what? I've done what I could do. And now next time I see you, it's going to be a Jerry Springer moment.
I love your little head nod. I didn't work my steps until right before my 1 year. And here's why I done that. There's many right ways to do recovery. We all recover differently. I knew I had a problem and I accepted that. And I accepted that alcohol controlled my life. If I would have walked in those doors day one and started working the steps day one, that I wouldn't have been able to do the same work I would have done about a year in. That's my experience. I can only tell you my experience, strength, and hope, right? I can't tell you anyone else's or how anyone else should do it. But I can tell you what works for me. As we get longer in our sobriety, we comprehend the literature in different ways. And the more you read the book, more things pop out at you in different ways. Like when I did my first speaker meeting, when I first told my story, I was so nervous. What if I say something wrong? Or what if I don't tell everything? My sponsor told me, Carly, the first time you tell your story, but you're going to say it one way, but the second time your story, it's going to be different. And then the third time you tell your story, it's going to be different. And you know why? Because you're different. Because as you go through your journey, whether it's up or down or sideways or whatever the case may be, you're growing. It's going to be different because you're going to be in a different spot. By the next time you tell your story again, it's going to be different because things have happened and you're going to have a different perspective, a different set of eyes on it.
She's awesome.
I just know that everyone recovers different. And for me, I want to learn it all.
I do recommend you only have a sponsor in one. You're only actually working one program. To be a recovery coach, you'll study all these different modalities, right? Mm-hmm. Recovery Dharma, Celebrate Recovery, NA, AA, Smart Recovery, Sobriety. The list goes on, right?
Yep. I've been to Smart Recovery too. Yeah.
What I have found, and like I was telling you before, it's the steps and the spiritual principles are the same across the board, right? Recovery Dharma, based on the Eightfold Path of Buddhism. Sobriety, that's based in the Native American traditions, right? Celebrate Recovery, the Bible. Yeah. What is something that sobriety gave you that you never expected?
Jumping out of a plane is one of them, for sure.
Those of you that don't know, Carly is the co-founder of Jump for Recovery, which is something they do once a year up in Michigan, where a bunch of people in recovery go skydiving. And it's an amazing thing. And there's a link to that video at the end of this video. So watch that next.
Yep, absolutely.
Is that when you felt like you were really living again?
Yeah, it really was. So like I mentioned before, I felt dead inside after the diagnosis with my MS, and I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't know how to continue going on with this recovery journey and continue to live life. My MS journey was detrimental to me at the time.
I bet.
And I felt so dead inside. And after skydiving, after jumping out of that plane, facing that fear, I've always wanted to jump out of a plane. It was a bucket list item for me. Even when I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated with the sky, with the clouds, the sun, like all of that stuff. And I was like, oh, man, I want to get as far up there as possible. And I just falling at 120 miles per hour towards the earth is just like, I want to fly like a bird. Who doesn't want to fly like a bird? When I did that, it was more symbolic for me facing that fear at the forefront, and proving to myself that I can face fear. Let's go.
All right, what?
You got these acronym for fear, like the face everything and recover, fuck everything and run, false evidence appearing real.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
Facing that fear and saying, I can do this, and I walk through that fear with courage. I felt like I could be alive again. And I was like, damn, I can do these hard things. I got through a lot, all the hard things in my life before, right? And they were hard things. Who wants to be 8 years old, cooking your own meal and getting yourself to school by yourself? Or wants to be doing your own laundry at 8 years old? I look at 8 year olds now and I'm like, how was I that young doing those things? But at the same time, all of that seemed like normal because it was just my life. It didn't seem that hard because it was just like normal
You
to
didn't
me.
think of yourself like I'm a victim of something.
And then I finally got to do something so exotic and so real and something that I could feel and touch and smell.
Visceral feeling.
Yes, those are the moments that make you feel alive. And then from that moment on, I was like, maybe I can do this thing. I started like perking up, and then that's why I chose my recovery word last year as acceptance.
Page 417, acceptance.
Yep. So this year is action.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I pick a word every year for my recovery. I'm trying to put into action.
There's no chapter called Into Sitting on Your Ass.
Exactly.
What were your thoughts about AA before you actually went to AA?
Oh, I went to my first AA meeting when I was 12 years old, but I don't really remember it that I was court ordered to go to AA to get my like.
What would you if a 12-year-old walked into a meeting?
Yeah, I got rushed to the hospital with alcohol poisoning and almost died when I was 12
my
years.
goodness. And then you just kept drinking anyway.
I was 12 years old. I thought drinking alcohol was normal. That was the normal thing. My older brother and sister, they were providing it. We were kids. We had no parents to take care of us. What do you mean? Like that was normal.
Well, I see kids at the meeting all the time because their parents bring them.
No, but I was like, I had to like participate.
Well, I'm currently I'm 12 and I'm an alcohol. Things getting said in them meetings that aren't for 12-year-olds to hear. I can't imagine.
Yeah, tell me about it. No, but it was court mandated. I had to have my aunt there. I got rushed to the hospital, woke up 3 days later with no remembrance, like what happened. And
It's scary.
and then I didn't get to go home after that. They told me that I was trying to commit suicide because my mom had passed away, and like the social workers told me that I was feeling that way. They told me how to feel. They told me how to feel. And
Are they right?
what? No, I literally told them no. I was drinking with my neighborhood friends. We were literally walking around the block and drinking alcohol. We stole the alcohol from the store. I got really good at stealing from stores at a young age because we had to learn how to steal our food and steal drinks our dad didn't provide. No, they were not right. They shipped me off and locked me up in Pine Rest for a week. And I was like in the suicide unit.
Kitty asylum?
It's a mental health facility where they lock you up. And that was terrifying. That was also another very traumatic event at a very young age.
You were in there with kids who really were suicidal.
Yes. And when I was in there, someone was in a straitjacket. Someone was locked in a room that was like smearing poop on the wall. I was terrified in there. I couldn't see my family. And then they told me, like, if I don't eat the food, I'll stay longer because, yeah, in the groups, you had to abide by what they say. And you have to say and do everything they say and do to get out of there. And I wasn't even there for the right reasons. It at a young age, like warped my mind to fall in line to whatever people tell me to do. Even in my workplace today, I feel like I need someone to give me direction. I feel like a scared little mouse. Sometimes I don't feel confident sometimes standing on my own sometimes because I still feel that fear from when you had to do everything that they said. Anyways, that was my first encounter with AA. But to answer your question, life happened. Thank God for my DUI. Thank God, it's the biggest blessing in my entire life. When I came around the tables this time around, I literally had this warped image in my mind thinking that AA was going to be all like young punk kids that were going to be from like jail or prison or something that were forced to come to AA. That sounds awful, right? Okay, that sounds so stupid.
You don't know it. Stupid.
I went through college and I went through like criminology, psychology, all these things, but they don't teach you about the AA and NA. So when I got in there, I was thinking it was going to be like a bunch of young punk kids, right? They welcomed me with open arms. They just like took me under their wing and I was like mind blowing.
Young punk.
I was just amazed, like just astonished. Do you need a big book? All this stuff. Like, what is this? I got to meet more people. And then there's a lot older generation than there is younger generation.
The young ones just haven't showed up yet.
Yeah.
In a few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that kindred. Oh my God, somebody gets it.
People told me too, like in the beginning, don't look for the differences, look for the similarities. Because it's easy to sit there and pinpoint your story's not like mine. You can't relate to the shit that I've been through. You don't know the depression or the sadness or the whatever that I've been through. You don't know what it's like to be homeless. You don't know what it's like to be this, whatever. But in reality, there's nothing that you can say around those tables that someone can't relate to or has been through or knows someone that they can connect you with or point you in the right direction.
And you may not have the exact same experience.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
felt pain. You have felt grief. You have felt fear, hate, anger, resentment, abuse, felt like a victim, been a perpetrator.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't rob a bank, but I did something that puts me right up there with a bank robber.
Right.
No better or worse than that bank robber. Sin.
Right.
We come to believe because we see it.
Yeah.
Over and over again. And that's how the universe talks to you. That's how your higher power talks to you. Because you hear it over and over again until finally it clicks in your head.
You may not have believed it before, but now that the fog has cleared in your mind and you're not all messed up on drugs, you can come back to being your full true self. You finally get to that point where you can believe there is something greater than myself. Faith is something that I struggle with. I know that there is God, and I've always had a strong foundation in that. But when I was really young, I used to really get mad and be like, why would you take my mom? Those normal feelings. I would have to say recovery has made me come to believe that God is not out there to get me, basically. He's not taking things away from me to hurt me. Like my mom didn't pass away to make my life awful. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do that because I just want to make Carly's life awful. But for a long time, I felt that way. Whatever happens in my life is not on my terms. It's God's will, not my will. And for a long time, I kept trying to take my will and kept trying to act like I'm God. That's what I was doing for a long time.
Somebody said to me one time, and I think it's true, the universe, and when I say the universe, I do that because people get twitchy at the word God. When I was in rehab, one of my counselors said to me, I might do something that hurts you, but I'll never do anything that harms you. And I thought about that. Like when my son was a baby and I take him to get his vaccine, those shots hurt.
Yeah.
But they don't harm him. They're for his own good. So I'm not doing it to him. I'm doing it for him. Even though in that moment, he can't see that. All he knows is that out.
Yeah.
That's how our higher power is with us. If you could go back and whisper something to yourself in early recovery, what would it be?
Stop getting so worked up. Stop worrying about what's to come in the future. What's going to come next? Where am I going to end up? All these worries kind of consumed me. I also had anxiety, depression, and mental health stuff. Again, mental health and addiction is intermingled. However, if I were to whisper something, just to relax and to know that everything is going to be okay. I spent a lot of sleepless nights just in worry, in anxiety, in stress.
Let me ask you, how many of the things you worried about came true?
None of that. Worrying is like praying for something that you don't want.
Oh, there is that theory that the universe hears us no matter what we're saying.
Yeah.
But it can't tell the difference between do and don't. All it hears is the action.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. That's one of those things I've come to believe that it's not important for me to know. Worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere.
True. Yeah.
Dr. Phil said that. A million other people said it too, but I heard it on Dr. Phil. I love the cliche. There is a book called 12 Steps Simplified. I talked to the author, Michael, And in it, he has a list of cliches and what they mean.
Oh,
Hilarious. You can get the book for free through your local library on
oh,
through Hoopla. I had to actually get a library card online. I didn't even have to show my ID. If you purchase the book, that helps my but free on Hoopla. His interview is on my YouTube channel. He is so funny and so smart. Great guy. Does recovery by any means necessary mean to you personally?
recovery by any means necessary means that recovery needs to be number one. Nothing can come before it. Without sobriety, I wouldn't have anything. I need to do whatever I need to do, whether that means I need to move or find a new job or find a new friend group, whatever the case may be. I don't want to go back to that life. I don't want to go back to having to hide and drink in my bedroom and wallow in depression and self pity.
And you don't
And
need to.
I have to remind myself of where I came from. I do not want that. I'm not going to be there. And if that means I need to go to a meeting every single day or 5 meetings a day.
My sponsor told me when I said, how many meetings do I have to go to in a week? She said, how many days a week did you drink?
Every day.
Well, guess what?
Going to a meeting every day.
Now, I am 6 years clean. I work in treatment. I have this podcast. I stay in 10, 11, 12. I don't go to a meeting every single day. My husband and I have certain meetings. We don't go to the same meeting every time to go to both AA meetings and NA meeting. And my husband and I have a weird schedule. We both work overnights. So on our days off, when we're both actually up during daylight hours, when the rest of the world is awake, that's when we're running around doing errands, whatever.
Yeah.
Wherever we happen to be, we've got an hour and a half. Let's find a meeting. And we have the meeting app. Do you have the meeting app?
Yeah. Meeting guide app.
I'm going to put a link to that in the description as well. What's your hope for people still struggling? What do you say to the newcomer?
What I say is to look at the similarities and not the differences, because that was really like key to me in the beginning. Where I remember my sponsor was like, Carly, you're not unique.
You're special, honey, just like everybody else.
I would also suggest not taking what everyone says. Like, if you're rubbed the wrong way, don't take it so close to heart. Just let it go, man. Everyone has the right to have their own story and their own higher power and their own emotions and their own feelings about it. Let everyone have their own peace. Everyone has a battle that they're facing. People here welcome you with open arms. You're like accepted, you're wanted, you're understood, and you're also welcome back at any time. What I really love about this community is knowing that I finally found my group of misfits. We're like a family. We're all fighting on the same on the battlefield. And if someone falls, we're going to lend a hand to lift you back up, and we're never going to leave you behind. There's no finish line. There is no certificate that you get. It is a life journey. It is never going to end. Once you make the decision to recover, you are recovering as a human being. You're regenerating your whole mind, body, and spirit in recovery. You are basically turning into a whole new person, working the 12 steps, getting a sponsor, putting yourself into a community, trying to be a healthy citizen of your community and giving back to your community and getting out of yourself. And it's never going to end because you just keep growing. It's a lifestyle.
It is. Is there anything else that you would like the audience to know? Is there anything else that you would like?
Would like to just read one of my favorite readings in the big book, 558 to 559, big book, the fourth edition. Yeah. It says, I have come to realize that the name of the game is not so much to stop drinking as it is to stay sober. Alcoholics can stop drinking in many places and in many ways, but Alcoholics Anonymous offers a way to stay sober. It's not about trying to stop drinking. It's about how to stay sober.
The only step that mentions alcohol is the first one.
Yeah. So good, God willing, we members of it may never again have to deal with drinking, but we have to deal with sobriety every day. And how do we do it? By learning through practicing the 12 steps and through sharing at meetings how to cope with the problems that we look to Bruce to solve back in our drinking days. For example, we were told in AA that we can't afford resentments and self-pity, so we learn to avoid these festering mental attitudes. Similarly, we rid ourselves of guilt and remorse as we clean out our garbage from our minds through the fourth and fifth steps of our recovery program. We learn how to level out the emotional swings that got us into trouble, both when we were up and when we were down. We are taught to differentiate between our wants, which are never satisfied,
Mm.
and our needs, which are always provided for. That's key right there. We cast out our burdens of the past and the anxieties of the future as we begin to live in the present one day at a time. We are granted the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change and thus lose our quickness to anger and our sensitivity to criticism. Above all, we reject fantasizing and accept reality. The more I drink, the more I fantasize everything. I imagine getting even for hurts and rejection. In my mind's eyes, I played and replayed scenes in which I was plucked magically from the bar where I stood nursing a drink and was instantly exalted to some position of power and prestige. I lived in a dream world. AA led me gently from this fantasizing to embrace reality with open arms. And I found it beautiful, for at last I was at peace with myself and with others and with God.
Wise words, young one.
I just like that our wants are never satisfied and our needs are always met.
That's true.
It's a strong statement. We're always going to want something more.
You have to be able to look around you and be grateful, not be worried
Right.
about what you don't have.
Just accept what it is and start living in the present. I encourage you to just stop and think about your five senses. What do you smell right now? What do you see? What do you hear? What can you touch? And just breathe and be in your presence right now. Don't be in the past, don't be in the future, but be right now, here and now, because it's so easy to get caught up in your past and so easy to get caught up in your future.
Grateful for you. I'm grateful to know you and have you be a part of my life and out here telling your story. I'm grateful to be able to facilitate that in any way, shape, or form. I think that you're awesome. And I think the more people get to see that, the better the world is. That's what I think. And I'm probably right.
I think you're awesome too. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thanks so much for being here, Carly. Your story is a living, breathing reminder that recovery isn't just possible, it's powerful. And to everyone listening, you are not alone. There is life after addiction, and it is so worth fighting for. Love everybody and let God sort them out. Keep coming back, because I'm going to keep coming back. See you next time. Subscribe.